Immigration has shown the blatant disrespect to this country throughout what they've been allowed to do. The Democrat has showed a blatant disrespect to the citizens of this country. Democrats, lawmakers, immigration, and dignitaries has shown the blatant disrespect to the United States citizens, middle class, lower middle class, to the United States citizens concerning immigration for many years now, for cheaper labor and all kinds of sorts of things that goes against the integrity of the slave descendants, that goes against the integrity of people that are trying to gain, that are getting lifestyles that belong to this country, that are anchored in it, in the history of it. And immigration has shown that blatant disrespect by catapulting in many numbers, using laws that don't belong to them, using the 14th Amendment to have children upon, using our welfare system, using our nonprofits, using our low-income system, affirmative actions, using civil rights laws that belong to the slave descendants who fought for the laws, all because they have been allowed to do it, because of these farmers and because of these rich businessmen who have allowed this country to be invaded. The president has made a stance, attempted to make a stance in terms of immigration. I believe that the president does not need to be wavering because of some letter Nancy Pelosi wrote. I don't trust the Democrat Party. The president needs to stick to his guns. We don't vote you in office and you turn around and say you're going to do something because we voted you in, because you ran your campaign stating what you would do, and that's drain the swamp. Now, the exchange you got going on in terms of Congress, okay, I get it. Maybe you got a business exchange where as though we don't know something needs to be done. But what we do know is there's people residing in our communities and next door to us that are unlawfully here and wrongfully here, getting aid in our tax dollars and having children and children and children and catapulting in our schools and everywhere else. And looking in our face and basically practicing communist exchange in our government. Something that we consider that works for us and that we have to implement for the greater good as we go forward. These people are coming here, they're not conforming, and now they're in trouble. Well, they were in trouble. And we got the Democrat Party, Nancy Pelosi, Elizabeth Warren, and the Kosciuszko lady, she's an immigrant herself, and they're trying to save these people, like really trying to save them. I don't see why anybody made a political agenda out of the suffering of black people in the country, being slave descendants and not being rectified and going without their inheritance and, just kind of being exploited. Now it's becoming something because we unify. And so we come forth. Look, this is a real issue. If we can say immigration is in the country and they deserve something, we can also say we're in the country. Actually, we built the country. Immigration did not build this country. They're actually building houses and stuff now, but they're not doing it for free. They're getting paid. And they're taking jobs from other people. Now, some people might not like the fact that I brought up slavery, but it's a real element of exchange of how this country exists. How can you talk about that, not talk about that because someone don't want to hear it? Well, grow up. We have to be intelligent. We can't be like children. We have to talk about everything. If we're talking about immigration, we might as well talk about everything. That's offensive that I can't speak on slavery, but we can talk about immigration. The president needs to make a stand, and I mean for the natives of this country, whether we're white, black, Jews, or whoever, and whether we're Hispanic. But if we're natives to this country and we're anchored in it, now I consider anchor babies, to me, in my book, they're not natives. Anchor babies are not natives to this country. They came by people who are criminals and illegally using false documents and having children and children becoming American citizens. That need to be corrected. Now, I'm not really sure what the president intends to do, but I'm gonna hold my guns on this, and I hope that he has a really intelligent decision to make concerning his drawback in terms of removing illegal immigration out of our communities. and off our tax dollars. That is not fair to the American people, especially the descendants of slavery. He's supposed to govern and govern for us. Also, Nancy Pelosi and Elizabeth Warren, they work for us. We pay them. Immigration does not pay them. We pay them. Immigration don't pay them. But from it looks like you would believe immigration is paying them with their tax dollars. But they work under the table. They get money under the table. They exchange. And they go and they parrot our nonprofit organizations. They parrot our low-income places. They living in our HUD housings. Ben Carson, the President Donald Trump, needs to hold on to their guns. And Nancy Pelosi is haggling the president. And the cartels may be involved. I would hate to say that the cartels are actually involved. I would hate to say that the cartels are actually involved in this. However, I cannot rule that out. I cannot rule that out because the president is a businessman. He loves money. He's always have. I'm not saying that he's a bad guy, but I support President Trump because I believe that his agenda is effective for the American people. He's pro-American. I'm pro-American. My family is military people. You know, this is our country. I'm a history buff. I understand it. I'm very political. I understand it. At the same time, I know when businessmen get involved, sometimes people start to making deals and stuff, you know, and big deals. And they start making power. They start exchanging in power and business camaraderie so someone else can get their way. And this is what's been going on. The reason why we have to drain the swamp, because business people have got involved who in power, have made something happen that is against the integrity of our nation, our great nation, and our people that are here in this country. Because of business camaraderie and unequal opportunity. Other people can exploit whatever they choose and whatever they figure is best in terms of a small group. Not according to the masses. Because according to the masses, we don't want immigration in our country illegally with false documents living next door to us. I deal with people every day out here crying. My neighbors are crying and stuff that their community is suffering due to this element. There are people actually crying. And like I always mention, people getting up from the poolside, it's not a peaceful reading area no more where you can read and you hear splashing of water. These people are in our country and it's overloading. It's almost like everything we do has reached its capacity. Now, welfare departments, everything, Social Security, they're all in there. Everywhere you go is reached its capacity because of illegal immigration. And they don't conform to us, and neither do they care about us. They don't care because they don't have to. Why would they care about the people they don't know anything about? They came here for the greater good. They didn't come here to mend with Americans. We have a certain way in this country. Of course, we suffered throughout racism and prejudice and the wars we fought, but that's our business. That's our business. We have to fix that. We have to implement the laws on that. But now we have immigration here, you know, who are working for cheaper wages, who are gaining capital, living next door to us, doing a lot better in a lot of spaces. People living American citizens living on the street, pushing buggies and carts, our veterans. And we don't get to make a choice about what we want inside our home, which we built and did hard labor and died and suffered. People died in wars here and anchored in the history of this country. But now we talk about the natives and stuff, and then Mexicans and stuff are running around saying, well, this was our land. Well, see, when they have that notion, they're actually saying that they want to take over. But you got Guatemala, you got Venezuela, and you got all that. Who's going to live there if y'all come here? So y'all want Venezuela, Guatemala, and you want the United States. That's what it look like. You want Venezuela, you want Guatemala, and you want the United States. You don't get to have it all. Period. And you need to be back to where you can actually be in a space where you can develop for yourself. Make your own country great. Take your trucks, take your forks and your shovels and go over there and dig holes and make your own country great. Who you think was building this country before you got here? We can organize that. We know how to have teams and management so we can get our own job done. And we can use some of you guys, but not a whole heck of millions of you illegally in our country and getting welfare. I just want to say that because a lot of people don't understand. This is not about hate. This is about organized exchange. I'm tired of going unorganized and living next door to it. This stuff is right at home with us. Thank you for joining me. This is Harper.